In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Good morning, my dear students. I welcome you to the second lecture of research methodology. In the previous lecture, we have already discussed about what is research and the major approaches to research, which include qualitative and quantitative research methods, as well as the mixed method approach. In this lecture, we are going to study about the types of research. Before discussing the types of research, we are going to recap the definitions of research. I have brought some other definitions of research to make the concept clear. Research is an academic activity, and as such, term should be used in a technical sense. Number one, research comprises of defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses, and suggesting solutions. So the basic purpose of research is to identify problems, to find out the gap in research, then formulating research questions or hypotheses, later collecting data after designing the research methodology. Then data analysis is done and conclusions are drawn according to the findings, and later suggestions are given. So research process is a step-by-step process. Number two, research is search for knowledge. Number three, it is an art of scientific investigation. Scientific investigation means it's a systematic process, means step by step we have to follow different steps to carry out research and to find out solutions to the problems. Number four, according to Redman and Morey, research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Here, systematized refers to systematic process, which we have already discussed in the previous lecture. Number five, research is an original addition to the available knowledge, which contributes to its further advancement. Research is the backbone of every type of knowledge. So research is necessary as it adds on new knowledge to the previous knowledge. With the passage of time, world is changing, things are changing, teaching practices are changing. So, to keep pace with the changing time and the needs of the students, we as researchers have to keep on doing research with the passage of time to find out new effective strategies for teaching to our students in a better way. So research adds to the already existing knowledge, already existing literature. In sum, research is the search for knowledge using objective and systematic method to find solution to a problem. So it's a systematic method to find out solution to the problem, which is the basic purpose of research. Now it's important for us to understand the difference between method and methodology. Research methods are the methods that the researcher adopts for conducting the research studies. And research methodology is the way in which research problems are solved systematically. It is a science of studying how research is conducted scientifically. So research methodology we can say, is a broader terminology. And research method is a part of it. Research method is the only method that we select for conducting our research. But research methodology involves everything, including the research method, data collection tools, data collection method, data analysis, findings, and reporting results. Types of research. There are several types of research. Some of them are descriptive research, analytical research, applied research, fundamental research, quantitative research, qualitative research, conceptual research, empirical research, and there are some other types of research as well, which include the historical research, the quasi experimental and experimental research, exploratory research, longitudinal research, etc. So let's have a look on these concepts one by one. Quantitative versus qualitative research. We have discussed about these two research methods in detail in the previous lecture. But in this lecture, we are going to have a look on them. Quantitative research involves the measurement of quantity or amount in numbers. It has numeric data. For example, economic and statistical methods. Means quantitative research is that type of research in which we can measure the data in numbers. We can analyze the data on SPSS, and later we can report the results in percentage or frequencies, means in form of numbers. It is called quantitative research. Qualitative research is concerned with the aspects related to or involving quality or kind of something. For example, motivational research involving behavioral sciences. In qualitative research, we analyze the data through thematic analysis. And data is not measured in numbers. Next is descriptive versus analytical research. In descriptive research, the researcher has to only report what is happening or what has happened. So he would report only what's happening or what has happened. But in analytical research, the researcher has to use the already available facts or information and analyze them to make a critical evaluation of the subject. So critical evaluation is involved in analytical research, but in descriptive research only the facts are reported as they are. Here is the detail about descriptive research. It refers to research that provides an accurate portrayal of the characteristics of a particular individual situation or group. Descriptive research, also known as statistical research. Descriptive research describes about the situation or some individual or some group. For example, the situation of language teaching and learning in Pakistan at any educational level, at college or university. You want to analyze the situation. You would use a research method that describes the true situation about language learning and teaching. So it will be called the descriptive research. These studies are a means of discovering new meaning, describing what exists, determining the frequency with which something occurs and categorizing information. So it would report the situation, report the information about the situation as it is in a descriptive way. Descriptive research attempts to describe and explain conditions of the present by using many subjects and questionnaires to fully describe a phenomenon. Survey research design, survey methodology is one of the most popular tool for using in thesis and dissertation. You want to describe some situation, you may use a questionnaire, because by using a questionnaire you can access a greater number of participants and you can take their opinion about some topic. So questionnaire is very famous for famous research tool for using in thesis or dissertation research. Descriptive research. In short, descriptive research deals with everything that can be counted and studied which has an impact on the lives of people it deals with. For example, finding the most frequent problems that students face while learning. The reader of the research means researcher will know what to do to solve those issues. Next is applied versus fundamental research. Applied research is an attempt to find solution to an immediate problem encountered by a firm, an industry, a business organization, or the society. We are going to discuss in detail about the applied research later in this lecture. And what is basic, pure, or fundamental research? Gathering knowledge for knowledge's sake is pure or basic or fundamental research. We are going to look at the details about pure or basic research later in the lecture. Let's have a look on the details about applied research. What is applied research? It refers to scientific study and research that seeks to solve practical problems. Applied research is used to find solutions to everyday problems, cure illness, and develop innovative technologies rather than to acquire knowledge for knowledge's sake. So applied research is used to find out the solution to the immediate problems. For example, in the classroom, teacher is facing some problems like students are not paying attention to the lectures, or students have some difficulties in understanding the lectures. At the spot, teacher can conduct a research to find out the reasons and to suggest solution for that issue. That would be applied research. He may suggest some strategies for better learning, for effective learning in the classroom. Here is an example. For example, applied research may investigate ways to improve some particular problem. For example, issues or problems in language learning, strategies for better learning, improving students' language skills, including oral or written skills. Means whatever the problem is, researcher would look at the problem and then would plan a research method to find out the solution to that problem. What is basic research or fundamental research? Starting point for the research, for the search of new knowledge. So, the basic point or the starting point of basic research is to find new knowledge. It provides a foundation for knowledge and foundations that are generalizable to many policy areas, problems, or area of study. Source of the tools, methods, and theories, ideas. Through basic research, we find out solutions to different problems, and we formulate some theories. When the theories are formulated, we apply those theories to test through applied research to find out the effectiveness of those theories, whether they are right or wrong, they are effective or not. So the basic research is, or fundamental research, is the starting point for search for new knowledge. And it works as a foundation for generalizable. It is generalizable. Means it works, this knowledge works as a foundation, and we can generalize the information, we can generalize the results to broader situations, to make policies, and to understand the problems which students or teachers face while learning or teaching in the classroom or in a particular situation. It was all about the basic research, and the next is action research. Action research actually advances the aims of basic and applied research to the point of utilization. It is concerned with the production of results for immediate application or utilization. It improves practices and methods and generates technologies and innovations for application to specific technological situations. Emphasis is here and now. This type of research, action research, is done in the situation when immediate solution is needed. For example, a teacher faces a problem while teaching in the classroom. He can conduct a research in the classroom there and then to find out the solution to those problems which he or his students are facing while learning in the classroom. So the focus of action research is here and now. Next is conceptual versus empirical research. The research related to some abstract idea or theory is known as conceptual research. For example, philosophers and thinkers using this to develop new concepts. See, so from the name, it is we can guess from the name it's conceptual research. So it is more concerned with the concepts and abstract ideas and theories. Empirical research relies on the observation or experience with hardly any regard of theory and system. It is more concerned with observation and experience. Next is historical research. Historical research is research involving analysis of events that occur in a remote or recent past. Say, for example, students, we say that our students' language skills or oral skills are not polished even at university level. We want to find out the reasons why this situation is arising, why our students' oral skills are poor even at university level. We would conduct a historical research. We would try to analyze the events in the past, how they have been studying at school level, at different grades, and then at college level, and what were the factors which are responsible for their poor oral skills. Later, after analyzing the events and reasons, we as researchers may give conclusion and suggest some remedies. We can give suggestions about how to improve that situation, how to improve their oral skills. Historical research can show patterns that occur in the past and over time, which can help us to see where we came from and what kind of solution we have used in the past. It's all about the past events, how students have been taught in the past at different grades in the school and college, how their oral skills were ignored. As a result, even they are studying at university and their oral skills are still not that much polished as they should be. Through historical research, we find out the answers to these questions or solution to these problems. The purpose is to collect, verify, synthesize evidence to establish facts that defend or refute our hypothesis. It uses primary sources, secondary sources, and lots of qualitative data sources such as logs, diaries, official records, reports, etc. The limitation is that the sources must be both authentic and reliable. So in historical research, we can get first-hand data, primary data, or we can gather secondary data to find out the solutions to the problems, to find out the answers to our research questions, to defend or to refute our hypothesis, which we have already made in research, the point from where we started our research. Next is correlational research. It refers to the systematic investigation or statistical study of the relationship among two or more variables without necessarily determining cause and effect. It seeks to establish relation, association, correlation between two or more variables that do not readily lend themselves to experimental manipulation. For example, to test the hypothesis, listening to music lowers blood pressure level. There are two ways of conducting research. One is experimental way and the second is survey method. In experimental way, two groups are made. One group will listen to the music and then their BP level would be compared to the control group which did not listen to the music, and the results would show the difference. And the other way is survey method, in which we may ask questions from people or we may use a questionnaire to ask people how they feel, how often they listen to music, and what are their feelings, and then we can compare it. So in correlational research, we compare two variables. Next is exploratory research. Exploratory research is a type of research conducted for a problem that has not been clearly defined. Exploratory research helps determine the best research design, data collection method, and selection of subjects. This type of research is used when the problem is not clearly defined. Means you are not well aware, you as a researcher are not well aware of the research of the problem, of the situation. Then we can use exploratory research. The result of exploratory research are not usually useful for decision making by themselves, but they can provide significant insight into a given situation. So to understand the given situation in the best possible way, we can conduct exploratory research. Next is case and field research design, that is also called the ethnographic research. It uses direct observation to give a complete snapshot of a case that is being studied. It is useful when not much is known about a phenomenon. uses few subjects. Means case study research you can conduct on a small number of participants. Next is developmental or time series research design, that is also called the longitudinal study, the longitudinal research method. Data are collected at certain point in time going forward. There is an emphasis on time patterns and longitudinal growth or change. Say for example, you are choosing a new teaching method and you want to test it. With the passage of time, after a particular period, you would conduct a research to find out whether that technique is working well or not. Is it effective or not? So data are collected at certain points in time. That is called longitudinal study. Next is quasi-experimental research design. This research design approximates the experimental design but does not have a control group. It does not have a control group. There is more error possible in the results. Experimental research is an objective, systematic, controlled investigation of the purpose of predicting and controlling phenomenon and examining probability and causality among selected variables. In experimental research, there are two groups. The sample is divided randomly in two groups, group 1 and group 2. Group 1 is the control group and the other is experimental group. Experimental group is actually given the experimental treatment, and then the results of the control group and experimental group are compared later to find out the difference, whether your new technique is working or not. Let's have a look at experimental research design. This design is most appropriate in controlled settings such as laboratories. The design assumes random assignment of subjects and random assignment to groups. Means the sample is selected and then different members from that sample are randomly divided into control group and experimental group. It attempts to explore cause and effect relationship where cause can be manipulated to produce different kinds of effects. Because of requirement of random assignment, this design can be difficult to execute in the real world, means in non-laboratory setting. The simplest experimental design includes two variables and two groups of participants. The two variables are independent versus dependent variables. In independent variable, the independent variable is the predictor variable, whereas the dependent variable is the outcome variable. Researchers manipulate and control the independent variable to study its effects on the dependent variable. In this type of research, in experimental study, there are two groups of participants. One is control group and the other is experimental group. Before beginning the experiment, the researcher randomly assigns her sample to two different groups, the control group and experimental group. And experimental group is the treatment group to which you would give an experimental treatment. You would use your new technique for teaching. The control group receives no manipulation, no experimental treatment, is given to this group, it receives no manipulation of the independent variable, means no treatment is given to it, whereas the experimental group receives the manipulation or experimental treatment of the independent variable. Another kind is causal comparative or ex post facto research design. This research design attempts to explore cause and effect relationship where causes already exist and cannot be manipulated. It uses what already exists and looks backward to explain why. Why did it happen? That's all for this lecture. In the next lecture, we would be studying about steps involved in conducting research. Thank you so much, students. Stay safe, stay home. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.